Rimworld is an indie game that recently released on Steam this year, but it had previously been an alpha for the past 2 years. It's best described as a sci-fi colony building game with a western feel to it. The premise? 3 survivors of a spaceship malfunction crash land on a randomly generated planet on the edge of known space, known as a Rimworld. They have nothing but the equipment that was in their escape pods. Your goal is to build a temporary colony and ultimately build a new spaceship to escape the planet. Various situations may stop you from achieving that goal, however. From raiders, to natural disasters, to starvation and infection of wounds, and even the accidental excavation of ancient, dangerous mechanoids that tear through humans like paper. Rimworld is definitely a game that city building fans, that also want some action spun in, should check out. Now don't let this fact scare you away, but this game actually reminds me of a much more approachable version of a sci-fi Dwarf Fortress. Except you can't dig down. Those who don't know what Dwarf Fortress is, this video isn't long enough to jump into that ocean. Just know that this game takes a few notes from it. I actually backed Rimworld from the very beginning on Kickstarter, so I might have a bit of a bias when it comes to this game. But if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't be praising it in the form of a top 5 video today. On with the list. Number 5, the premise. I actually really like the premise. It's what got me to back the game in the first place. It would be higher on my list, but everything else in this list compounds on the premise, so I figured I should mention it first. Like I said, you're survivors of a spaceship crash, but you land on a scarcely inhabited planet where you hobble together a town. It feels very much like the Old West, but in space. Not even in space, just on another planet. The music also helps in that it has a calm, kind of quiet feel to it when there's no threats on the map. It's actually very Western in its own right. When raiders attack, all of your colonists, except for those with certain traits, can be set to defend the town with whatever weapons they have. They hunker down next to sandbags, walls, and trees, and shoot pistols and rifles at each other. On top of that, you can slap together a crappy jail and imprison those who attack you, and set a warrant to their cell like a sheriff. You can also craft cowboy hats, so, I mean, you know, space western. Number 4, the art style. On first glance, the art looks really simple, but this game takes a different approach than most in that the graphical representation is just that, a representation. Your colonists can lose limbs, apply prosthetics, get wear and tear on their clothing, and a lot more. Clicking on an item and looking at the description gives a much more detailed idea of what the item looks like. Well, why is that? Well, there are art items that colonists can build that look like small sculptures, but really the description will actually read out as something that actually happened to your colonists recently. For example, let's say some traders come into town and they trade with you. They trade with you and they leave, having a pleasant stay. An artist might actually make a sculpture later that is described to have the appearance of happy traders with the descriptors resembling the kind of colony that those people were from. Basically, the description of things happen in real time and are customized to that exact playthrough. It's something an indie game couldn't do with one-to-one graphical representation, let alone a AAA game without sacrificing the amount of possibilities tremendously. It leaves that particular playthrough with a one-of-a-kind story and memories that you won't get from another playthrough. It also really lets your imagination go a little more free than other games would. Speaking of which, number 3, the freedom. Since its inception, Rimworld has been all about freedom of choice. Originally, the players would dig out of the side of the mountains and set up mountain bases that kind of resembled vaults from Fallout. This is still possible, but it takes a lot longer as the mid-game was beefed up for the full release. Originally, the only starting scenario was the crash survivors. Well, now there's a tribal start where the player starts with 5 tribals that have lived on the planet for hundreds of years, but these 5 decide to start a new tribe. Naturally, they start out much less technologically capable and have to build outdoor huts and fires to cook their food. With the great integration of Steam Workshop, there are hundreds of starting scenarios out there that can allow further customization. Number 2, the mod community. Speaking of Steam Workshop, this game with its unique art style and representative graphics allow for some easy modding. A mostly still image is all that's needed to represent a person or an item, so the bar of entry is pretty low. While you'd think that would lend itself to a bunch of amateur garbage mods, it actually lets those with great ideas but low artistic and animation skills really flourish. My favorite mod to date is the Medieval Times mod. It essentially adds a tier between the tribal technology and the stranded space explorers technology. It adds heavy armor that both weighs more and heats the wearer more, and heavy melee weapons that do more damage than space age weapons typically, but they have much worse DPS. I've run into a number of game changer mods out there, but this video is about Rimworld overall, not just the mod scene. Number 1. The fun balance. Rimworld is a little difficult. On top of that, it can be the kind of difficult that doesn't happen right away. For example, you could have a bunch of raiders attack you in the summer and spring and defend yourself pretty well and even keep your people from dying from wounds and infection. But there was that one raider who threw a Molotov cocktail into your cornfield and ruined that batch of your crops. Too bad the area that you chose has some harsh winters and you can't grow food in the cold months. And then you starve. Sounds annoying, right? Well, Rimworld has this great balance in gameplay. The worlds are harsh, barely inhabitable. You can and probably will lose some colonies. But remember how I said the point was to build a temporary colony in order to get to your spaceship and escape? There's the end goal. It's not like SimCity where the point is to go on forever. You're not spending centuries on this planet, but maybe a few years. So escaping is a real testament to the player's skill because of the trials that you had to endure to get there. But if you spend a year on your colony and you die, it's really not that hard to try again with the things that you've learned and get back to where you were. And with the level of randomization, there's a big chance of running into something new on every playthrough. In fact, it's almost guaranteed. The game is full of choices, and that's probably why I've played it for multiple years on and off, even while it was just an alpha. Basically what I'm getting at here is I really like Rimworld. It's actually getting some pretty good traction on Steam in the indie space, and with such a small crew at work, they definitely deserve the attention. I know a lot of you guys are big console fans, especially Nintendo, so let me know if you liked this list. I'm a big indie game fan and I love talking about them, but I know they're pretty PC based, so I'm not sure if you guys are going to share my enthusiasm. But that's what the comment section is for.